Hello everyone, welcome back, or hello if you are new. My name is Haley and I talk about all things toddler, mom life, activities, independent play, toys, entertaining your toddler, and kind of surviving this phase of toddlerhood that you're in. So today we're going to be doing a little bit of a chit chat video while I get ready. So I am getting ready for an event that I'm doing, and I'm just going to kind of chat with you while I get ready, and bear with me because I think this is probably the first time I am going to be putting on like makeup in at least over a year. We'll see how it goes. But this is not like a makeup routine situation. Like, ignore everything that I'm doing. But this is the only time I have to talk to you. Today's chit chat video is going to be all things potty training, potty learning. So if you haven't already seen part 1 of my potty training series, make sure you go and do that. I will link that below. Part 2 was supposed to be about the good inside potty learning method, and I'm still going to do that video. That's just going to be part 3. So this one's just really chill, just kind of updating you guys on how our potty training journey went with my son. Here we are like 6 weeks later. Okay, so potty training. So my son, when we started, 2 years old, he still is 2. And I know people talk about like signs of readiness and blah, 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 blah. No child is ever going to show like a ton of different signs of readiness, in my opinion. Maybe they are, but it's just gonna be different for everybody. So my son was interested in the potty, and I think that was helpful. You know, it's the second kid, so like they see the older one using the potty. We were a lot more intentional this time around about letting him in on like our potty journeys as parents, having him come in the potty with us, talking about that feeling. I did cover this in part 1 too, but I think it's just worth mentioning. So going in, it didn't feel like he knew nothing about the potty, and it was like this big scary thing. Okay, so we kind of did it a little wonky. I wanted to do it on the long weekend holiday, and the issue was that my sister was baptizing her daughter. Yeah, I really should have done this before sunscreen. Was baptizing her daughter on that Saturday. So I worked on Friday. I wanted to, in a perfect world, start potty learning like they wake up Saturday morning and you're like, all right, bye-bye, diapers. However, we couldn't do that because of the baptism. So at nap time is when we woke him up for a nap, and it was kind of like our beginning of our day. And quite frankly, I feel like our kids get so confused with nap not being a different day than the morning anyways. So we woke him up from nap, and that was like our day 1 starting out. We did naked from the waist down. Right away, I feel like he had to pee, and he just like pees on the ground. And we kept really chill. We were like, all right, pee goes in the potty. Walked him over to the potty, and, you know, none of it got in the potty, but we still went through the motions of like, all right, looks like you're peeing. Let's go let the rest out in the potty. I will say, for the first, I honestly felt like the first like 2, if not 3 days, majority of the time, that is what would happen. He would pee on the ground and be like, oh no, I'm peeing. And then we'd go to the potty, but he didn't even really have much to let out. So I feel like I was kind of getting discouraged because I'm like, okay, I feel like you're not making any quote unquote progress. But then I remembered the whole point of potty learning versus potty training, especially doing the good inside method and philosophy, is that we're teaching our children long-term success with the potty and body autonomy and understanding and listening to their body. And I feel like this is where some people would give up. This is where some people would be like, my kid doesn't get it, they're not ready, blah, 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 blah. But I really encourage you to stick it out unless your kid is like crying, angry, upset, like there's high emotions on your kid's end and or your end, because that is where we were at with my daughter. And that is why we did pause potty training and circled back a month or 2 later with her on her journey, because she was crying. It was just not a good time. But my son, you know, was interested, would sit on the potty. He just wasn't quote unquote getting it. Another thing, I didn't really realize that potty training a girl would be that much different than potty training a boy. I just really didn't think that it would be that different. Like, obviously you need to teach a boy, whether you're teaching him to stand or sit, like, you know, how to aim or whatever. I just did not think would happen. Was my son was just so entertained being naked and peeing. So his favorite quote would be like, it's like a fire hose. I was like, well, I don't want this to be something where he just finds it way more fun to pee on the ground than in the potty. So a few things here. For us, we ended up putting him in undies earlier than we probably like quote unquote should have, in the sense that they say don't put your kid in undies until they've really mastered the naked potty learning. But for him, I was like, he's just finding this entertaining. Let me put on a layer of clothes and see if that helps. Also, I feel like with a boy, he wasn't really feeling on his body the discomfort of pee on himself, you know? So the undies did help. Another thing we did is we ended up buying another little potty that was shaped like a car. It's a Hot Wheels little potty. It's been amazing. He just loves that thing. He's obsessed with cars. So I will say, if your kid's not as into cars, that might not be the fix for you. But he is so into cars. He's obsessed. He just wants to lay down and look at wheels all day, every day, and play with cars all day, every day. So for him, this was like the most magical thing I could have ever done. So that really, really helped. But yeah, it's finding ways to make potty learning, potty training fun. So that was a big thing. And then after the 3 days, I had to go back to work. I work from home, but I had to, be working, and we had to go places. He has activities and classes and whatnot. And it was kind of stressful because he still wasn't really mastering the potty. It still was kind of every time by the end of the 3 days, he would start peeing, be like, oh no, I'm peeing. And even though it got less and less that he was peeing first before he would go to the potty, it still was enough where I was like, well, I don't feel like I can take you places, have you on the carpet in the playroom. So what I ended up doing is when we were downstairs in the kitchen and I knew we were just gonna be home, kept him in his underwear and shorts or whatever it is. But then when we would be in the playroom or if we had somewhere to go to, I would put him in daytime undie, aka pull up, but still say to him, pee goes in the potty. And he still would say oh, I'm peeing, go to the potty, or oh, I need to pee. It didn't feel like we were backtracking because I knew I'm not gonna stop this and pause and go back to diapers and then potty train again in the future because I really didn't think it would be any different month from now, 2 months from now. I think that kids just take time. This is a new skill and I feel like it's hard on parents seeing potty train your kid in 3 day, and you really think oh, my kid's gonna be potty trained in 3 days. Yes, your kid may be going in the potty consistently, but just because they're going in the potty consistently, they're gonna have accidents still. Every kid is gonna have accidents still. So I don't know. My biggest thing is don't so easily backtrack. Your kid might take more time. That might look like you putting them in pull-ups or just bringing more changes of clothes or dealing with more accidents in the beginning. But again, here we are 6 weeks later and it's going great. Every once in a while he'll have an accident, but he's a 2-year-old. We can safely go out places. I guess I would rather have a toddler who is 6 weeks, having a little bit of accidents here and there, but really understanding his body and feeling like we can go places and live life with a potty learning baby or toddler versus a kid who may quote unquote have gotten potty trained in 3 days, but that's because every hour you're setting a time telling them to use the potty and they have no idea what's happening. I'd rather set my kid up for long-term success about their body and learning about their body and understanding versus me telling them when to go potty. The only time I tell him hey, let's try sitting on the potty are before nap and bedtime, when we wake up, and before we leave the house. We bring the little potty with us, so if we have some lessons, we'll get to the parking lot of some lessons, sit on the little potty in the trunk, go into some lessons, come back out, sit on the little potty before driving home, things like that. This has been actually really hard to film and do my makeup. As you can see, I've just put on concealer and sunscreen and we've gotten nowhere. But the whole point of this was to get a little bit of a chit chat out. I'm gonna continue doing some makeup without doing the Q&A. We haven't quite mastered this yet, apparently. But this is what being a mom is like. I feel like my brain is just all over the place and this is real life. So this is a kind of a fail of a get ready with me video, but not a fail of the chatty part and not a fail of an update with where we're at in potty learning. So if you like this kind of chaos and you want to learn more about potty learning, make sure you are subscribed because that next video about the Good Inside potty learning journey and their philosophy is actually a really, really good one. So you're not going to want to miss it. All right, bye guys.